Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Jinx, the loose cannon. Now I don't know if Riot is officially making Arcane canon or not, but I am considering it canon for this video because I like that lore much better. I tried to write a summation of Jinx's role in Arcane, but I wasn't doing it justice, so I'm scrapping it and just going with some quick bullet points. Yeah, bullet points. Anyway, Jinx was originally known as Powder and grew up along her sister Vi in the Undercity of Zaun. They were taken in by Vander, along with two other boys, Clagger and Milo. Powder often caused their plans to go awry, causing Milo to constantly call her a Jinx. Though Powder wasn't much of a criminal, she excelled in inventing things, which is even more impressive considering her limitations with such little parts and equipment. Unfortunately, one of Powder's bombs causes the deaths of Milo, Clagger, and later Vander. Vi screamed at her sister, calling her a Jinx and storming off. Silco arrived and took Powder in, treating her like the daughter he never had. The death of the boys caused Jinx to form post-traumatic stress disorder, and she began seeing visions of them, haunting her and causing her sanity to slip even more. After a duel with Echo on the bridge to Piltover left her mortally wounded, Silco gave her to Singe to save her with Shimmer. Once the Shimmer took hold, Jinx's sanity plummeted further. The final straw that broke her mind's back was when Vi chose Caitlyn over her, killing Powder forever. Her final act in the series is firing a Hextech rocket directly into the Piltover Council chambers, and we'll see the consequences of that action in Season 2. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and the Hextech crystals flowing. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max Dexterity and dump Wisdom. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in Dexterity, Intelligence, and Wisdom. Our leveling path is going to be a quick level in Artificer, then 5 levels in Fighter. We'll get the rest of our abilities with 8 more levels of Artificer, then we'll enhance our equipment and spells with 3 levels in Sorcerer, and finally we'll round off our gunplay with 3 more levels in Fighter. Jinx's passive, Get Excited, will come from the Haste spell. Her Q, Switcheroo, is going to come from Pepperbox and Hand Mortar. Our W, Zap, will come from Ray of Frost, transmuted to lightning damage. Her E, Flame Chompers, is going to come from placing a Glyph of Warding on a hunting trap. And finally we get our ultimate Super Mega Death Rocket from Fireball and Distance Spell. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Even if we were human in the beginning, the Shimmer has certainly added some flavor to our genes. Variant Humans get a +1 to 2 scores. We'll go with Intelligence and Dexterity. We'll also get a skill proficiency, and we'll pick up Intimidation, because if you've seen the craziness in those eyes, I'd be running for the hills. The main reason we choose this race, though, is for the free feat. We're going to take the Gunner feat here, which is going to bump our Dexterity by 1, giving us a 16 in both Intelligence and Dexterity at level 1, which is huge. We're also going to get proficiency with firearms, so we can use our guns as soon as we can acquire them. The most important part, though, is it's going to remove the 5-foot ranged attack disadvantage zone, which applies not only to our guns, but our zap as well. For background, this one was another clear-cut choice with Urchin. Though they had Vander, she still lived a downtrodden life and was constantly trying to escape from the poverty she was born into. This is going to give us proficiency with Stealth and Sleight of Hand, as well as the City Secrets feature. City Secrets just boils down to knowing urban environments and how to navigate through them quickly and effortlessly, which she constantly does to escape capture from Piltover's enforcers. For stats, we're going with the opposite of Jinx's mental balance with the standard array. Roll if you want to, but keep at least a 13 in Intelligence, Dexterity, and Charisma. We're starting off with a 15 in Intelligence because of Jinx's clear engineering genius, as evidenced by all of the tech she creates in a cave with a box of scraps. After that, we'll go with Dexterity, not only for her aim, but also for her quickness and nimbleness. Charisma is going to be after that, but mainly for the insane amount of intimidation she creates. We'll take Constitution after that, Being able to survive all of the close calls and explosions she's around isn't just a factor of luck. We'll have an average strength and dump wisdom because the Shimmer and her traumatic past are working overtime on frying up her brain. For equipment, you can ask your DM to let you start off with these guns, but either way at the 4th level of the build, you'll be able to build them yourselves. We'll talk about our pepper box first, which is going to be Pow Pow, dealing 1d10 plus your dex mod and piercing damage. You'll have 6 shots before you need to spend an attack or action to reload it. Fishbones is going to come from a hand mortar, which can only fire 1 shell before reloading, but deals 2d8 plus your dex mod and fire damage, and has the explosive property, which forces a dex save on all creatures within 5 feet of your target, dealing an additional 1d8 fire damage to those that fail. And our final piece of equipment is going to be our Chompers through a hunting trap, which we'll apply a spell to later for their fiery effect. Hunting traps force a dex save on creatures who enter the space of it, dealing 1d4 piercing damage and restricting the creature's movement. They or other creatures can try a DC 13 strength check to try and free the creature, but every time the check is failed, the trapped creature takes 1 piercing damage. Alrighty, we're kicking things off with a quick level in Artificer to establish Jinx's mechanical engineering genius. Artificers have a d8 hit die and give us proficiency with light and medium armor, shields, and all simple weapons. We're also going to get skill proficiencies in Arcana and Investigation. And for Jinx, we'll cover the tool proficiencies as well, because we'll get Thieves' Tools, Tinker's Tools, and Smith's Tools. Magical Tinkering is going to let us flame Vi and Caitlyn by letting us imbue some Hextech energy into a tiny non-magical object and let it shed light, emit a recorded message, or give a static visual effect. I would probably just leave a bunch of metal jaws emitting your evil laugh at all of your crime scenes. First level Artificers also get some spells and cantrips. Now, since Artificers use their equipment to perform spellcasting, this will line up perfectly with Jinx's inventions and abilities. We're going to get our W with Ray of Frost. From our Zap Pistol, we'll emit a beam of blue-white light that'll deal 1d8 cold damage and reduce the target's speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. Now we're going to get some levels in Sorcerer later, to turn that cold damage to lightning damage to more accurately reflect the Zap Pistol in-game, but it'll work for now. And now we're going to hop over to Fighter to angle towards our guns. Fighters have a d10 hit die and will give us proficiency with martial weapons, though we don't need them. First level fighters learn a fighting style to enhance their combat abilities. We're going to take archery for a +2 to our gun attack rolls. And our final feature for this level is Second Wind, which is going to let us use a bonus action to heal ourselves 1d10 plus our fighter level once per rest. This can definitely work like the Triumph rune, and please remember to use it before you spend any hit die on a short rest, or Milo and Clagger's spirits will haunt you forever too. Second level fighters get one of the best features in the game, Action Surge, which is going to let you ignite the shimmer in your blood and let you take 2 actions on your turn. Now normally we have important combos assigned to this ability, but not in this build, so feel free to use your Action Surge as you please. Most likely to put a few more Pow Pow rounds into your target, or maybe toss out 2 Chompers instead of just 1. Level 3 fighters choose their martial archetype, which is fancy D&D words for subclass. We're going to get what we came here for with the Gunslinger. Gunslingers gain firearm proficiency and the Gunsmith ability, which will give us the ability to craft our own guns if the DM didn't let us get them earlier. On top of that, we'll get a new system called Adept Marksman, which works on a point system called Grit based on our Wisdom modifier. Well, since our Wisdom modifier is crap, our pull is only going to be 1. And the shots aren't super important to Jinx, so I'm not going to waste time explaining them. But if you want to use them, I'd recommend Violent Shot and Bullying Shot. 4th level fighters gain the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we're going to break down all of our choices here so you can pick and choose for yourself along the way. Now that we have our guns, we need to be able to cast our Artificer spells with them in our hands. So we're going to take the Warcaster feat at Fighter 4. Not only can we cast with Fishbones or Pow Pow in our hands, but whenever a creature provokes an opportunity attack, we can cast a spell at them instead of making an attack, which means we can use our Zap on them and slow them, even as they're running away from us. At Artificer 4, we're going to improve our aim with our guns with the Sharpshooter feat. Sharpshooter is going to let us attack at our full range without disadvantage, and let our shots ignore half and 3/4 cover. The best part though is that we can take a -5 to our shot, which we almost offset with our +2 archery bonus, to add 10 flat damage to each attack. After this feat, we're going to be increasing our modifiers. At Artificer 8, we'll bump our Dexterity by 2, then we'll max it with 2 more points at Fighter 6. And finally, we'll bump our Intelligence 2 points at Fighter 8. Level 5 fighters get extra attack, giving us 2 attacks per action instead of just 1. As a gunslinger, you get to use your extra attack to reload if needed. So you can be using your fish bones once per turn, or reload your pepper box even after firing it during that turn. And now we'll jump back over to Artificer to continue improving our gizmos and gadgets. Second level Artificers learn how to infuse items with their Artificer infusions, which are improvements to non-magical items. This is going to be Jinx adding Hextech power to her items and weapons. An important note to keep in mind is that you can only use 1 infusion per item, so when we talk about enhanced weapon, know that you can only put it on 1 of your guns. I'd recommend your Pow Pow because you'll get a lot more bang for your buck with it, but speaking of enhanced weapon, let's go through our infusion choices for the build. Enhanced weapon is going to make one of our guns magical, giving us a +1 to attack and damage rolls. We're going to replicate a bag of holding for our second infusion, so that we can hold all of our various violent toys and explosive devices. The final infusion we'll get is the spell Refueling Ring, which is going to let us recover one expended spell slot as an action up to 3rd level. Since our best and highest level spells are all of the 3rd level, this is perfect for us. Level 3 Artificers choose their specialty, which is again another fancy word for subclass. We're going with Artillerist, since you make lots of things go boom. Artillerists have an expanded spell list that we'll need and gain the Eldritch Cannon feature. Eldritch Cannon lets you create a small cannon, or a tiny one that you can hold in your hand. When you create it, you choose a type for it, and from then on you can activate it as a bonus action. While we originally thought these were going to be our guns for our queue, when we actually dove into them, they don't really line up with Jinx's weapons as well as the gunslingers do. You can absolutely use them for fun roleplay purposes though, and would match her character for sure, just not how she actually plays in League. Level 5 Artillerists learn Arcane Firearm, which is going to let us turn a wooden carved pistol into our new Zap pistol, or a long wooden tube into our Super Mega Death Rocket Bazooka. You'll carve runes down the side of it, allowing you to use them as arcane focuses for your spells. Anytime you use this Arcane Firearm as a focus, you get to add 1d8 to your damage rolls. 6th level Artificers gain Tool Expertise, letting us double our proficiency bonus for any check we make with a tool we're proficient with. Level 7 Artificers learn Flash of Genius, which is going to let us come up with answers quick, so whenever you or an ally within 30 feet makes a check or save, you can burn your reaction to add your intelligence mod to their roll. So if someone's trying to make a dex save, you can shout, "Hey dummy, flash away from the Ezreal ult, not into it." Level 9 Artillerists get an Explosive Cannon, increasing all of our cannons' damage rolls by 1d8, and letting us kamikaze our cannons as an action, dealing 3d8 force damage to each creature within 20 feet who fail a dex save. They also get 3rd level spells, and we have 3 important ones to talk about: Haste, Glyph of Warding, and Fireball. Haste is going to give us the zany speed of our passive, by giving us double our speed, a +2 to our AC, advantage on dex saves, and a special action to use on each of our turns. This special action can only do a few things, but one of them is fire our weapon another time, so definitely good to have. Remember though that as soon as the spell is over, you can't move or take an action until your following turn. Glyph of Warding is a spell we're going to apply to our hunting traps. You inscribe a glyph onto the hunting trap that lasts until dispelled or triggered. We're going to use the Explosive Runes option, which means that when people step on your hunter's trap, they spawn a 20-foot radius sphere of fire that forces a dex save on each creature in that space, causing them to take 5d8 fire damage if they fail a dex save. And now we'll get our Super Mega Death Rocket with the Fireball spell, which probably needs no explanation, but I'll do it anyways. Fireball is a 20-foot radius sphere that will fire from up to 150 feet away, or 300 feet away in a few levels, and each target in the sphere has to make a dex save or take 8d6 fire damage. Make sure when you fire it, you do it in slow motion and leave us all with that cliffhanger that makes me want Season 2 right now, dang it! Now we're going to get a little controversial and activate the Shimmer in our blood with some levels in Sorcerer. Now right away, I just want to be clear, This is mainly to turn our zap damage into lightning, and letting us convert our useless 1st and 2nd level spell slots into 3rd level slots through Font of Magic, since we only use a cantrip and 3rd level spells. We're not getting any spells with this class, just the ability to change them. Oh, and Wild Magic Surge. You're welcome. Alrighty, so sorcerers have a d6 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. We do have a sorceress origin though, and since Shimmer is wildly unpredictable, even according to Singed, we're going with Wild Magic. Wild Magic is going to give us Wild Magic Surge, which lets us roll a d100 on the Wild Magic Surge table whenever we cast a 1st level or higher sorcerer spell. Now technically we're going to be using mainly artificer spells, so hopefully your DM is going to count them as well. Our other level 1 feature, Tides of Chaos, is perfect for Jinx. Once per long rest you can give yourself advantage on any attack, check, or save. 2nd level sorcerers gain Font of Magic, giving us a pool of sorcery points to use. Right now these points can only be used as a way to exchange and recharge our spell slots, but starting next level they'll power our meta magic options. Speaking of meta magic, level 3 sorcerers gain their meta magic options, which are basically just cool ways to spend sorcery points and augment our spells in certain ways. We have 2 important options to cover here. Transmuted Spell is going to let us spend a sorcery point to change our Ray of Frost zap damage from cold to lightning. Distance Spell is the other meta magic and is going to let us spend 1 sorcery point to double the range of the spell, which we'll use to yeet our super mega death rocket even further. Jumping back over to Fighter, the only other level we need to talk about is Fighter 7, which is going to give us Quick Draw, letting us add our proficiency bonus to our initiative, and letting us swap out between our guns as an object interaction. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We have our Q in both forms and plenty of accuracy to use them with. Fishbones and Pow Pow are going to be wrecking your DM's creatures. On top of that, we have a giant Hextech rocket we can hit with from 300 feet away. Now the bad. First, bringing magic in here to change a few things feels a little off, even if Shimmer does give us kind of a hand wave to it. Also, there are many DMs who not only refuse the Gunslinger subclass, but guns in their world period, so this build may not be kosher with every table you encounter. These can often be red flags though, so hopefully they'll help you catch bad DMs before you invest your time and soul into a game with them. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in the build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out 1 League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.